Welcome back to the Beautiful Struggle podcast with myself, Jay Davis, aka Magic Eye. Proudly sponsored by Heavy Duty Gymwear, TBSP for money off for any purchases. I've been meaning to do that for about 4 episodes now. And normally I'm draped in heavy duty gymwear, but my next guest texted me and said, wrap up warm. And obviously I've had to remember all the podcast stuff, my camera stuff, because I'm up here on shoots, so I forgot to bring extra clothes. So that is why I'm representing AW Muscle and Fitness, which is where we are located today. Thank you to the guys at AW for letting us film at the podcast here. Pretty sick backdrop, and obviously this being a actual bodybuilding podcast, it's cool to do it in a gym. So let's get on to the next guest. So I would say this next person is somewhat of a national treasure for the UK bodybuilding scene. We've not seen him for a few years on stage. I've known of this person, and then, as some of you may know, I filmed for Trained by JP for a number of years, and Jordan introduced me to this person to obviously film content for the site, and he was like, you'll love him, he's a super nice guy, and he wasn't lying. So welcome into the Beautiful Struggle podcast, Sasan Heirati. Is that how you pronounce the surname? Have I butchered that?
You got it right.
There we go. So welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you.
Like I said, we met first of all filming for JP, as you are wearing the new what's this, the tie-dye range?
Yeah, tie-dye.
Looking sick. And this is obviously where you train right now.
Yeah, AW Gym.
So we sense a little bit of a comeback on the cards, and I thought it'd be nice for you to kind of get back on camera to chat about pretty much kind of where you've been, potential plans for where you're going, and obviously taking it right back to, before you kind of hit the scene. So I'm sure anyone that's watching this or listening to this will know who you are. You are a bit of a legend in bodybuilding, I would say, in UK. I know you won't like...
I'll never admit that. Maybe when I'm old and decrepit.
I know you wouldn't want to admit that, but you definitely are.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the podcast.
No worries, man.
Just on top of being able to just hang out and chat with you.
Definitely,
It's a pleasure to be able to be given a voice to talk through some thoughts that have been in my head for the last 5 years, I guess, that people might want to know, and everything else that goes with it, because I've been kind of, I guess, off the scene. So I've said no to absolutely every podcast since I stopped in 2018 till now, because I didn't really have a solid answer to probably the questions that people want to know. Yeah. Until now. So which we'll go through, I guess. But yeah, so thank you for having me.
No problem, my pleasure, man.
And I hope everyone enjoys the chat.
And thank you for me being like the first podcast you've said yes to.
You're welcome. I didn't even have a second thought to it.
I appreciate that a lot, man.
Thank you.
So let's I always do this with the podcast, because everyone kind of does, when they get guests on, they do the chronological kind of, going back to your childhood and all that stuff. So we won't go there. We'll start with where you're at right now, I guess. So, especially for anyone that's watching this that maybe doesn't know, some of the new guys may not know you, because obviously you haven't been that active, but they definitely will know you in 2024, I'm sure.
Hopefully,
so give everyone a little breakdown of kind of where you're at right now with things, with bodybuilding.
Yeah, so I decided literally within the last month or two that I wanted to get back on stage, which has been a thought that I was unsure with since stopping in 2018 for a number of things. Just wanted to start a family, and I needed my own income, so I wasn't relying on competing to pay the bills, and I just wasn't enjoying the whole process a lot. I was focusing on the wrong goals at the time. I didn't mature as a pro fast enough, so I kind of expected to win, and even though I didn't say that out loud, so mentally I wasn't in the right place for me to be a good bodybuilder, or the best that I could have been. So I took some time away, and in between that big gap, I've been kind of, should I compete again? No, I'm going to retire, I don't need to. I started making money without competing. I was comfortable, my family's comfortable now, so I'm as secure as I have been for a long time. So I didn't have any reasons to really get on stage. But then after that, I started to get that itch. I missed it. So
Yeah.
that love started to come back, the passion and the addiction to just being a competitor, which is different to just doing it as a lifestyle. I'll always be the lifestyle bodybuilder till I can't walk and lift my arms.
Of course, yeah.
But a competitive bodybuilder is a little bit of a different kind of passion and drive, and I didn't realize I still had it so high. So I spoke to Leanne, my partner, and I said, I just want to give it another go at least.
Yeah.
Even if it's just one show. I might get to 2 weeks out and hate the process, get on stage and decide that's it. But I need to do it just so I don't wake up when I'm 60 and think,
regrets.
why didn't I just give it? Because
Yeah.
I stopped in my prime. I hadn't peaked yet. I knew I had more in me.
That is mad to think when I'm looking at that picture behind you. You can't see it on camera. You can see some of your legs on there, but you hadn't hit your prime.
No, I 100% hadn't. Because the last 2 preps, I was distracted as well. I was doing stuff that I probably that wasn't making me the best bodybuilder I could have been. Whether it was, having the odd drink that I didn't need.
Yeah.
Relaxing sometimes when I could have maybe been. Although, I've always been good at relaxing when I needed to. But I think the last 2 preps, I wasn't as hungry. I expected to be on the Olympia stage. I didn't have the eye of the tiger, so to speak. So I know that hurt my conditioning a little bit on stage, and I knew I could have just done a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, it was my best looks at that point.
Yeah.
But I knew I had more in the tank. So that's the one thing that really keeps pulling me in. If you've been given a talent, I don't want to be the guy who just throws it away.
Yeah.
Even if there's got to be a little bit of hope. If I didn't want it, and then I'd happily stop and make peace with it. But I just can't quite mentally, physically just let it go just yet. I don't want to be that guy with the what ifs when I'm older.
Yeah.
And to be one of the best in the country at something isn't something you come across, in people all the time.
Definitely.
You don't meet someone in their trade who might be a world class, whatever they're doing.
Is world class.
So it's hard to. So I didn't grasp that all the time. Sometimes maybe I didn't know that I had a talent that good until I stepped back and had a look at it from the outside.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a big driving factor, and also it's what I do. I felt a bit lost identity-wise for a while. I didn't have the job that I worked for decade to get this dream job, and then I kind of just push it to the side. It wasn't me. It wasn't something I should have. I mean, I needed to do it.
Yeah.
All the decisions I've made have brought me back here, but yeah, that's the reason why. Mainly, it's down there. I need to. I've still got something left to
unfinished
prove to myself,
business. Unfinished business. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's brought me to now, and my coach, the only coach I've ever had, Chris Acito, we've been chatting since I stopped, but it's more about family and property and business, and
Yeah.
he's kind of, I think, silently been waiting for that email.
Yeah, for that
So
one
he emailed me
email.
about a month ago. I said, Chris, I've been thinking, let's just, I want to give it another go.
Yeah. That's exciting, bro.
Yeah, so he was ready. He was like, send me your pictures, what you eating, what show we doing. So within less than 12 hours, I'd sent him all the info, and we were back on it 100%, like nothing happened. And we were checking in. He's been on it since, I think we've been working together about 4 weeks. And he's been checking me in multiple times a week, sometimes every day.
Yeah.
He's not got a big group of guys, but the ones he's got, he really wants to focus on right now. Because I don't think he's going to be in it for much longer. So,
yeah, I guess he's at that level now where he can kind of handpick.
Yeah, he's been doing it for so long. He's seen the toxic side of it all.
Yeah.
So he's probably just getting a bit worn out. So it's nice to have a lot of his attention, which he always gave me anyway.
And he just, as you're saying that, sorry to cut you off, like
No,
he's probably at that point where you are with it, where obviously you walked away from competing because you felt like you weren't enjoying it and maybe forcing it, and now you're looking to come back because you really have this hunger to do it and you want to do it. And maybe with Chris, he's probably only working with the select few because the ones he obviously still enjoys what he does and has a love for it. But he's, when he was like, because obviously all these coaches, they go through phases where there's obviously the coach of the year and things,
100%.
which he's probably had his time with that as well. And with it, like you said, the toxicity in the industry, probably just wants to work with the legit guys and the nice guys. Obviously, if you've still kept in contact, he knows that you're one of those. Like,
yeah, I've said it to a few people leading into this. I could get offered a coaching spot with the number one coach on the planet right now, whoever that may be. For me, it's Chris, but whoever that may be statistically, in
the trending one,
we'll get you to top 3 Olympia in 2024, 2025, 100%. I'll get you there. And Chris just promises me 100% effort, like he always has. Even if I knew with Chris I might not get that high spot, which I'm not saying we won't, but let's say I would still go with Chris just because there's a lot more than just coaching there. There's loyalty, there's love, there's respect. He was the guy who helped me win my pro card, all my pro shows.
There's history
he's always
there,
been there, and he cares. You know, he said to me once, he said, I don't know why we were talking about or what context it was, but he said, I want my guys to leave bodybuilding and have a life, like as healthy as possible, as normal as possible when they leave. Meaning he's not just using our body as, okay, let's see what 100%, just throw everything at it and just get whatever we can out of it. It's more minimal for as long as we can, get the most out of the least, and then progress that if and when we need to. So most of the off season, we're not even pushing anything. It's health is number one for him a lot of the time, which for me is it's key, because I've never been that guy to risk it all. You know, I've got too many other things to think about. So it fits me, and he's also very instinctive. He's not like, I want you to go in and do 5 sets of deadlifts today, you know, 2 top sets, 2 back. He knows what I'm doing in the gym is working. He responds to my body. He's very much go with the flow, go with the feel type guy. What he sees and responds.
That matches you to the T, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, that's exactly me. Maybe, even before I got with Chris, that was me in the gym. I'd go in, I never had a plan. I knew what I needed to do, what I wanted to do. And how I wanted to progress, but I always listened to my body from day one.
I remember the first time we filmed, which was the first time we met, innit? Obviously we'd spoke like through text or whatever to arrange the shoot, but the first time we met, and bearing in mind I'd been shooting, obviously there's trends within the fitness industry, and filming in it for like 7 or 8 years now. I've seen the trends of training and come and go. One that's obviously still has come around and is still probably a key one is obviously progressive overload and logbooking and stuff. And at that point, I'd probably done like 2 solid years of shooting, progressive overload trainers. Even though everyone's progressively overloading, but the guys with the stigma of logbooks and stuff. And then I came to film you. And like, number one, the session was probably a third of the length. So I left the gym and I was like, have I actually earned my money today? Because it was like, in work out. And obviously you were very instinctive with your training. You were literally coming in and, putting a plate on, 10 reps, plate on, 10 reps. And then you'd obviously work up to like a heavy load. And then you'd either, I'll do another one, or you'd be like, no, I'll probably move on now. And that was so refreshing for me at the time. It was really refreshing. And then obviously since then I've filmed with other people which train in similar ways. Nathan, who was probably a rival of yours at one point, and so it was really cool to see that, and also very cool to see that, because obviously you hear stories of old school bodybuilding, or they label it old school bodybuilding, but just going in and fucking lifting weight and clagging and banging. So it was nice to actually film someone doing it at that point. So
I understand. It's obviously progressive overload is one of the best ways to improve and develop as a bodybuilder. So no one's saying it doesn't work. No one's saying logbooks don't work.
No, 100%.
But for me personally, even way back when I was 13, I bought my first set of weights. It was just me in my room with a poster that came with the weights of a little cartoon character doing all the different exercises. It was like a bench with a hamstring and leg swivel
all attached to it,
dumbbells and a bar. So I'd get up and I'd start copying this little cartoon character. Biceps, triceps, shoulders, traps, chest, back. And I'd just go through, I'd just do it as much as I could, before school, after school, before bed, whatever I could fit in, day to day. And then I'd just eat my mum's food. And I didn't have any, that was 97, 98, 99 or something like that. There was no YouTube, internet was barely starting.
It was
I didn't know what bodybuilding. Bodybuilding to me was Arnie in the movies and Sylvester Stallone and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Was that what got you into buying the weight set then?
Yeah, typical story.
It's a typical story. Yeah, I was going to say.
Also, being a kid who came from Iran, and I didn't know English when I was 6. I didn't have anything to express myself vocally. So for me, it was very physical, sports, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a good speaker. I was too shy to even stand up in class or speak to anyone I didn't know. So for me, it was physically, it was a way of me kind of just expressing my personality.
Yourself, yeah.
And weights was just me in my room controlling what I was doing. It made me feel good. I didn't know what I was doing, but in hindsight, I knew I was doing the right things. I was doing each exercise for each muscle group every day. And my mum always made good food. Being Persian, they thrive on chicken and lamb and rice.
Yeah.
And all the superfoods we call superfoods today. It was just normal cooking for them.
That's just your normal kind of diet,
and spinach and kale and all this stuff was incorporated in my diet from day one.
Yeah.
Along with good genetics, so it was all kind of there, but I didn't know it for a long time. So I was just doing it, and what I loved was just the feeling of training and escaping what was going on at school or my homework. It just felt different, and that just progressed into when I got to uni. I was trying to play rugby. I was playing basketball in school.
I forgot. I remember.
Bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a sports athlete.
An athlete.
It
Yeah.
was basketball, and then realised I wasn't going to get much past 5'7", 8 9.
Yeah.
Then it was rugby, but I started too late. The skill wasn't there. Physically, I was good, and then it was, hang on, I'm growing here. People think when I was 18, 19 in uni, the rugby team thought I was taking steroids, and I wasn't. They wouldn't even take no for an answer.
It's almost a compliment at that point.
Oh yeah, but I didn't see it that way. But yeah. So it was all there. It was when all the old school bodybuilders at the gym I trained at, one of the gym I've always really trained at. Some of the old school bodybuilders started to pull me to the side and say, you can be a good bodybuilder, and I just kind of laughed. I remember the first introduction to the competitive scene was I bought a Muscle and Fitness magazine when I was 20, 21. We were going on holiday with my parents.
Yeah.
So I bought it from the airport. Mark Dugdale was on the cover. I don't know if you remember him. And I went in to the book and I started seeing the pictures of these guys. I was like, wow, these guys are pretty crazy. I started copying the diets that was in there. Egg whites and oatmeal and chicken and rice for meal 2 and this, that and the other. And then I just grew. So I still use this similar template from when I was 13, just hit every muscle group as much as I can. But then I started to split because I started to learn. There was YouTube by then when I got out of uni, so I was watching Ronnie and Lee Priest and Jake Cutler.
Yeah.
So I was starting to split my body parts. Then I got with a training partner who knew more than me at the time. So we started training together and pushing each other. And so all that time it was just me going in and doing the basics. Set after set after set, I was evaluating what I was lifting, how much I could lift the next set, where I was failing. So for me it was just normal to evaluate what my body was doing set to set. I'd never had a plan. Yeah, we might have said, oh, this is Branch Warren's workout in flex, let's just copy it. So we'd copy it, but it would still be how we felt. It wouldn't be, he's done 8 reps on incline bench, I need to do 8 reps. If I failed on 6, I'd stop, lower the weight and get a bit more, that kind of thing. So instinctively, it was already there for me.
Yeah.
So later on, when I tried to do logbook and...
So you did try it?
I tried,
That's what I was going to ask you, actually.
I took some plans, I think it was Jordan or John Meadows, when I actually got a progressive plan where it would develop over the weeks.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't stick to it. I couldn't go against what my body was telling me. Some days it felt good. Mm-hmm. Other days I was just going through movement thinking, this just doesn't, I'm not connecting with it. And I couldn't stick to a plan if someone else gave me one. Luckily, Chris, when we started working, I said, what do you want me to do training-wise? He said, well, whatever you've done for the last 10, 15 years, just keep doing it. So that gave me I was like, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Someone who says, have faith in your own body's feedback. So I tried logbook training for a while. It lasted a few weeks. And I just started getting to the point where I was annoyed if I didn't get that extra rep. I was annoyed if my form dropped. I was annoyed if something hurt at the beginning of chest day.
Yeah.
And I couldn't beat my logbook, or then I was like, oh, did I drink enough fluid? Did I eat enough carbs? Did I eat all my carbs? Did I get enough sleep?
Analysing everything.
That argument, maybe I had an argument with someone. Maybe someone's comment on Instagram pissed me off. I was starting to look at all these like variables that people kept talking about, and it got me to the point where for the first time, I think in 15 years, I left the gym and I didn't go back for like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I didn't want to train.
Just pissed you off so much.
I just didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I looked great, but when I'm not there mentally, there's no point in forcing me to do anything. I have to want to do it, and I have to enjoy it.
And that ties into obviously the last 5 years as well. At the same time. Same
exactly.
thing.
Exactly. I wasn't connected, mind and body. Chris was always a pusher of, put your mind where you want your body to go.
Yeah.
They always connect. And, that's not very scientific, but for me it makes sense.
Yeah.
We'd be deep into prep and he'd be like, I know you're struggling right now, but just picture yourself on stage and how you want to look. And your body will start to move again.
Yeah.
And that's all it took sometimes, just a bit of mental reinforcement. So when I'm confined to a certain way of training or reps or sets, or I start to lose the focus that you need.
Does, like where you were saying about like obviously being like following a plan or being told you have to do it this way, does that go back to like early years of SAS?
I think so. For me, I never excelled at anything. I was always a mediocre guy, whether it was in class, football, or basketball. Basketball was good. I just didn't physically get to the height I needed. Yeah. But I was never the guy everyone looked at for. Wow, he must know what he's doing. I wasn't never rubbish at anything, but I was never and in team sports, I was always following someone. I was always waiting for a cue. I was waiting for an order or a command. Yeah. I was always the follower. Mm-hmm. In groups, when we go out with my mates to the cinema, we'd be stood in a group of 10, and I'd always be the last to speak. Like I'd let everyone else go first. I didn't want to be the initiator of anything. Yeah. Whereas with bodybuilding, it was me in my room or in the gym. It was me controlling what I ate, how to manipulate how I was training or eating to try and improve, get stronger, get bigger, get leaner. It was always me. Not because I didn't need to prove anything to anyone. I wasn't getting on stage. Just purely it was just me for the only thing in my life that was down to my control, my effort, my thought process, my decisions. No one was, no one hanging on my command, or I wasn't waiting for someone to say, "Don't eat that. That's not a good protein source." I just figured it out for myself, or did some reading. Yeah, I think that's what led to me just not being able to be fixated on anything. It has to feel right for me. Yeah. The gym is just no different. If I go in, I change rep speed on the fly. If I'm doing a bench press and I'm doing explosive reps and it doesn't feel right, I might slow down, pause, push back up fast. I might even push back up slow. Like I'll just mix it up till it feels right, and then I'll just do that whole exercise the same. Or I might be doing one exercise and halfway through my first set, I'll just drop it and go to another exercise. Just something doesn't feel right. Then I'll connect with one. I might do 10 sets on something because it just feels amazing. And I'm just every set's getting better and better.
That's overtraining though, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I remember once I did 16 sets on the bench press because it just felt mint. And then I did 2 sets of flies and that was done. That was an hour in the gym.
Like when you're talking about this, I'm just going to reset this, but I'll keep on talking anyway. When you're actually talking about the instinctiveness of your training, how does SAS feel about Instagram bodybuilding, with like the trends and the overanalyzation of movements and their approach towards just training in general? What do you think about that?
So firstly, I don't think the way I think is textbook. It's not something. So, for example, you can put Dorian here with me, and he would argue me straight away. He would shut me down, and I wouldn't have an answer.
Of course,
I wouldn't be able to say, "Well, yeah," but he'd be like, "No, well, this is how it is. This is the logical way. You should be doing it." And I probably wouldn't be able to fight back with him. Yep. That's the other thing. I can't win arguments. My thought process isn't logical sometimes, but for me it works. And I'm sure there's a way for me to maybe explain it. Like I said, when I was young, I couldn't speak. I wasn't a good speaker. So I probably can't even get my own thoughts across the way they are in there.
Mm.
I'm more of an action guy. I thrive when I just get in and get my music on and I just train. And I'm sure there'll be someone scientific looking at me saying, yeah, but he's doing this, and this. So he's ticking all the boxes. Maybe I'm just not explaining it right.
Yeah.
The overanalyze, I do think generally, right now, today, if you were to ask me what's one of the biggest downsides of what I see on the scene, is the overanalyzing. I think there's people asking the wrong questions. New guys asking the wrong questions. Older guys maybe losing track of what's actually got them to that point. They might, they get lost in all the information.
Yeah.
And I see guys focusing on movements and grip and angles and elbow angle and foot position. I'm just like, you haven't even built that much muscle. So how are you? The effort's not there.
Yeah.
For me, it's the basics, and then learn what effort is. Learn what failure is. People are like taking the piss out of reps in reserve, and it's because most people don't know what a failure is.
Yeah.
Most people don't know what Jordan's doing on those last 2 reps. For example, James, the feeling of failure. People get to probably 5 reps in reserve, and for them, that's probably failure for most people right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I see it because if they had the effort, the progress, the size that people would have would be more effortless. Because it's not rocket science.
No, it's not.
It's not. You eat, you train hard, and you grow. I think it's made overcomplicated. I think that the reason why, not that I don't agree with this strict way of training, is because I think it's kind of deluding people as to what actual hard training is. They're just focusing on the wrong points, so they're missing the feel.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, yeah, but the pump doesn't mean anything. The pump means a lot.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. Scientifically, maybe you don't need a pump to grow. But for me, when a muscle pumped, you're connected with it. And when you're connected with it, there's intensity in the rep. In the contraction, there's more intensity. There's more focus. There's a harder contraction. Because contractions is what you need to stimulate the blood flow and the tearing down on muscle fibers. If that contraction is just a slow movement where you're kind of numb to it, you're just doing it because you've got 8 reps in your logbook, it can disengage that connection, and I think that takes away from the effort.
Yeah.
And effort is what counts. It's not hard to control a weight. People are like, yeah, but you need consistent form, you need a slow eccentric. Yeah, okay, you do, but it's all about controlling the weight. If you're thinking about how many seconds you're controlling it on the way down, how much you pause at the bottom, how hard your contraction is, there's too much thinking.
Yeah, there's too much going on, yeah.
I think it's just the basic roots of it all is sometimes skipped. And everyone's just too focused on frequency and volume and what split do you do? Push-pull legs? Is it bro split? Does it matter? Like how many reps are you doing? How many times are you doing quads a day? What's your carb intake on quad day? Are you doing an intra-workout? All these things are later on, when you start to refine your training and your physique.
Yep.
Just pick a method. Nowadays it's like it's almost illegal to do a bro split from day one. It's like beginners shouldn't be doing bro split. They need to do upper lower.
Yeah.
I never did it. Tofton never did it. I can probably the top 20 guys on the planet probably didn't start with push-pull legs or upper lower. I'm not saying it's wrong to. You should do if that's what you want to do. But don't demonize other ways of doing it.
That's the problem, and everyone's like, if they're not, everyone's got their opinion these days. So if they're not following, or if other people aren't following what they're doing, then they're slated straight away.
It's like camps. It's why should you take the piss out of people who have an arm day? If they want to have an arm day, let them have an arm day.
And if they need an arm day, let them have an arm day.
Yeah, I don't understand why people need to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
Someone asked me the other day, what training do you do? Is it high volume or low volume? I was like, I like all of them. Like, do you like DC training? I pick things from DC training that I use in my own training.
Yeah.
The rest pause stuff, the widow sets. I wouldn't do DC training. It's not like I'm a DC trainer disciple. I need to do this 100% what Dante said. I don't agree with that. I agree that you should take what suits you.
Like elements of it.
Makes sense to you, and why not just put it all together? It doesn't have to be. Why does it have to be low volume or high volume? And low intensity, high intensity, or heavyweight and lightweight? You can do a heavy, high volume, high intensity workout. Just go in and smash it.
Yeah.
Stay safe, but smash it. Why does it have to be? Why does it have to be
one way?
6 to 8 reps on this? Why can't I do 50 reps on quads and 6 reps on chest? Why does it have to be consistently the same thing?
And you know, like obviously you're saying this now, and you know people are going to. There's going to be people out there watching this because it's the way the game is, and they're going to be going, yeah, but Sas can train anyway, and he's going to grow because he's genetically gifted.
Yep.
But
there'll always be those people.
But what, you know, when you've got someone that's genetically gifted and not doing the work, then that means shit.
Yeah.
But then when you've got someone like yourself that's genetically gifted and putting the work in, that's when you get a Sas. Yeah. That's when you get a Samson. Yeah. That's when you get all the other guys. Yeah.
It's funny because I hear the phrase "success leaves clues" a lot these days.
Yeah.
And I agree, it does, 100%. You look at Dorian, how he trains. Everyone can train like Dorian and make so much progress if they actually did it right. But it's like they focus on the success. They want to focus on that for their argument. It's like push-pull legs is their focus.
Yeah.
Look, success leaves clues. Look at all the guys. Yeah, but okay. I would probably say 80% of successful bodybuilders did bro split. So where's the success leaves clues there?
Yeah.
People pick, like they cherry pick, like snapshots of what they want to back up their argument. That's usually what's happened now. And most people are like, this is how you should train. You shouldn't do this. You should do a mini cut. You shouldn't use this as an anti-estrogen. You shouldn't. Everyone should use Primo now. No one should touch EQ. There's you should and you shouldn't. This has been going on. Bodybuilding is decades old, and they have built great physiques on 2% of the knowledge that we've had.
Yeah.
We've got at our disposal. There's guys in the 80s that have built unreal physiques, just eating 3 meals a day and taking test and debulk.
Yeah.
They've built incredible physiques. So there's arguments to everything. I just think there's way too many arguments now. There's too many camps. I just think as an industry, there's just, it's like one or the other all the time. And I think that's what's dragging everyone down now. But you know what? Most people change their minds a lot. I've seen people from 10 years ago say something online all the time and backing it up, and they get known for that. And now they're saying something different, but no one really brings them up on it.
Yeah, and they're completely contradicting what they were saying 10 years ago. Yeah, I see it as well.
It's not one answer fits all.
Yeah.
You can go back to my JP videos from 2017. There's one video I said, if anyone comes up to you in the gym and says, or wherever, and says, this is the way you should do this, walk away. Because I 100%, I just do not agree with it. There's many ways to do it. Basics underpin it all, and then from then you just develop.
Yeah.
You just use your gut a little bit. Just do some reading.
It just goes back to the
something face value.
Yeah. It goes back to the trending thing as well.
Yeah.
Like obviously, JP for instance, Jordan. I remember there was a time where he'd use like words the norm was using, but he'd use words to describe something. One comes to mind, standardization. I remember when Jordan was using standardization as a few in a couple of the videos to describe what he was doing with training. Legit reason why what he was explaining and why he was doing, etc. But then the world just run with standardization, and then all you saw, especially for me when I'm out on shoots, is like everyone using this word and absolutely rinsing the hell out of it. And that's what you'll see is that the trending person or the training coach camp will say something or do something, and then off it goes.
I think Jordan, first of all, is one of the best minds to ever come out of the
legend, man. Living legend.
In so many ways, what he's done is just insanely impressive as a bodybuilder and a coach.
What he's done for UK bodybuilding alone,
So there's no surprise when he says something, people cling onto it. So they will cling onto it like it's gospel.
Yeah.
They'll take it to the grave type thing. But even Jordan, I'm sure there's times where nowadays Jordan is more like, look, this is what works for me, because he's realized people cling onto it so much.
Yeah, you see
sometimes when you cling onto something without even giving it a second thought, you're mindlessly following something that maybe isn't making you happy. That's the one thing. If something's not making you happy, it's not driving you for the right reason, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
Especially bodybuilding, most of us, we're not really making money from training and eating. So it should be a passion, should be a big driver. for Jordan, he's just so intensely driven by progress, and that's what keeps him ticking.
Yeah.
But not everyone's the same. They have to look at it that way. So they have to take what he says as, you know, he doesn't say anything wrong, but people need to go and try it and see how it makes them feel. But they've decided before they've even switched the phone off.
Yeah.
That's it done. I think that is a mistake. Have an open mind.
Yeah.
And just enjoy it a bit. I think people are way too serious now. It's like arguments left, right, and centre over something that just shouldn't be argued about.
Yeah.
People trying to set one up against the other. Even when people have asked the question to me, like, what do you think of Jordan and no arm days? Like, what are you trying to do?
Trying to get you to say something that...
Yeah, that's what people try and do. They love to see an argument or a riff rap. Like, it's just funny. I just think that it's again, passion, fun. A lot of people aren't having fun. You know, is it making you happy? Like, genetics underpins a lot of what we do as bodybuilders on stage or progress in the gym. You need to realize your genetic first. No, don't just think you can fix it all with drugs, because people look at me and say genetics, and he can look at a muffin and he'll have shredded quads. They don't know. I was 13, 25 years ago I was 13. Every day I've been in my own head about bodybuilding. I've done a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
People think because I don't talk a lot. I don't get this opportunity much, and I'm not a speaker online, so people think,
yeah, you keep yourself to yourself a lot.
It comes easy to him. But I obsess over things in my head.
Yeah.
I am very addictive. I have an addictive personality, so I've been through everything that people go through.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been given the genetic talent to do it. But that's not taken away from the 25 years of training.
No, doesn't.
And eating I've done, and deciding, and trial and error. I've tried everything.
Yeah,
every which way to train. If there's something new, I will watch a 20-year-old's YouTube channel. If I notice he's done something that I haven't seen before, I'm like, oh right, what's the thought process behind it? And I'll listen to him and I'll watch him. Then I'll go and do it. Just because I'm 38 and I'm a pro doesn't mean I can't learn from someone.
Can't learn anything. Yeah. That's good to you, mate. That's good to you.
In fact, most people that I'm intrigued by these days are not on the scene. They're not even someone who is a flashy bodybuilder. They might be someone who's just living the day-to-day life and figuring it out. Sometimes you have to go backwards to figure out what you already know.
Just doing the business. Yeah.
But I think that was a big tangent, wasn't it, from what I'm doing? But that's what I'm here for.
I'm sure it will definitely help some people, hopefully.
Hopefully. There's a lot of stuff in my head that kind of just rambles around each other.
Yeah.
So hopefully I got the message out.
You definitely did, mate. You touched on, obviously, the addictive personality thing.
Yeah.
Without going into like major details, has that ever crossed over into other avenues in your life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so my car addiction.
Yes, I didn't even think of that one.
I can't leave a car alone. I remember when I was 15, I think, was it 15, 16, and Fast and the Furious came out, and I went to watch it at the cinema.
Yeah, the first one, yeah.
And I was like, I just saw Vin Diesel. I was like, I want to be like that. I want to wear the vest. I want to have the big arms and the chain. I want to have
you definitely got big arms.
Powerful muscle car. Well, back then I thought Vin Diesel was huge.
Yeah.
I was already weight training, and I already loved cars, and that kind of reinforced it. I remember when I got my first proper car, the first thing I did was get my student loan, and I bought big 20-inch rims for it, and blacked out lights, and a big subwoofer and an air filler. And I just modified cars. That was the start of that kind of. I knew I was already addicted to training because I did that, but for me that was just something in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Then the car thing, and even to this day, if I can do something to my car, I'll add a ton of horsepower to it, and it's way too fast for the road, and it doesn't even put the power down. It might spin left, right, and centre, but I'm like, I just want a bit more. There's no point. There's no need for it.
Yeah.
The money I've spent on the cars in the last 10 years, I'd be rich right now.
Yeah.
I've sunk so much money. That's the side of it. So that's kind of, that lingers, but it makes me happy.
Yeah, well,
and I'm
got to do that.
responsible with it. The other thing was the drinking. Everyone knows I enjoy the drink. Throughout my 20s, I lived a normal life. When I was at uni, I went out with the rugby boys. I went out with my local boys all the time.
Yeah.
You know, we'd drink at the weekend. I'd train. After uni, I'd train 6 days a week. I'd go out, drinking with my mates.
They call that a
But that
weekend
drinking
warrior.
wouldn't have an end point. Like, quickly I got known, Sas can just drink 48 hours. I drank once. Just
straight through 48 hours.
Yeah, so that's addictive, because a lot of people would be wanting to go home at 2, 3, 4, whatever, at some point.
Mm.
And there's been times where I've woke up hungover and I'm just like, I could have a drink just to feel normal. And it could just keep carrying on. That's the addictive side. Like, I would rather not feel hungover but keep drinking at some point, rather than...
That's like a boy's holiday, that, isn't it? When you wake up from the night before and then you're like, straight back on it.
But I could easily do it day to day. So I have to keep that controlled.
That's heavy, mate.
Another point was, I tore my hamstring before my first pro show, 2016. I tore not many people know. I did put a post on like 6 weeks later. But I tore my left hamstring 3 weeks out in 3 partial tears. And it was disgusting. It was black and blue all down my leg. I couldn't walk, and I couldn't even move. It would make me sick.
Right.
So I jumped on tramadol and diazepam just to kind of get through the prep.
Mm.
It wasn't abnormal for a bodybuilder at my level to do something like that. There was contracts riding on it, all that kind of thing. I didn't want to miss out. So I made it to the show and I was fine. But then when I got back, I was like, post-training, I didn't need it, but I was like, if I could just have a diazepam just to relax. That's the addictive side kicking in again.
Right,
so
okay.
I had to fight it. So I know for a fact that if I didn't have bodybuilding, that addictive side of me would want to cling on to something, and it would make me not so happy. So that's one of the other sides of me wanting to do a comeback. Was it still keeping me... I'm different now. I've got my second kid on the way, so I've got different reasons to do what I do, but I still need to satisfy that kind of addictive side.
So you've got the devil on your shoulder.
Yeah, so for me, I've tried to leave bodybuilding, but it just made me want to... It was just a losing identity altogether. Then you want to have a drink because it makes you feel good for a little while, then that rolls on, and that doesn't make you feel good overall. It makes you unhealthy. So I decided that me not being a bodybuilder is probably the worst situation, for not just for me, for everyone else, because if I'm not happy within myself, I don't work as hard.
And if it's starting at alcohol,
it could just... And genetically, this isn't a good thing. I'm not boasting, but genetically, my organs, my body has, it can take a beating. So I know I could do, I could drink forever, I could take whatever, and I tend to be able to just swerve a lot of the big bullets. Yeah. Not forever, but yeah. So
far, so good.
Yeah, but I need to use it. This is why I need the stage for now, or I need at least a decision, so I can just close the door on it at some point properly, on my own terms, and be the retired pro. I was never the retired pro the last 5 years, so I couldn't quite move on. Yeah. So I need to kind of shut that door on my own terms and be done with it when I'm ready.
I think I can speak for myself and anyone watching and listening to this that know you and know what you're capable of, and say that it's exciting to see you getting back on stage. Have you got like any kind of timelines that you want to reveal for next year?
So me and Chris are aiming for the Arnold Classic UK, which is in March. It's 14 weeks this weekend, I think. But obviously that's pending the invite. And the criteria for this show is that you have to have won a pro show in the last 2 seasons.
Right,
or at least in the last year or so. Which rules me out. So I've emailed the IFBB anyway, and I said, look, I've not been on stage for a while. It's my home country. I'd really like to do the show. And they've said, we'll consider your name. So I'm just waiting on that. So that's not 100%, because last time I was prepping for the Arnold USA.
Yeah, okay.
And we got to 11, 12 weeks out, and I wasn't on the list, which I know happens. I know happened to Justin Compton. So they're not just going to give you an invite for no reason.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. So that's still pending, but hopefully. But if not, the calendar for 2024 is coming out in January. So once I have that, I'll pick, if I don't get the invite, I'll pick a show after the Arnold as soon as I can. Yeah. Because I'll be in shape. Probably a European show, maybe somewhere spring, summertime. If I have to do a US show, I will. I want to see if I can do a couple of shows. But like I said, I might get to that first show and think, it's not what I thought, or I've not got too many reasons to keep competing that season. But I'd like to ideally do a couple of shows and see if I can get to the Olympia, and if I get a qualification, if I want to do the Olympia, I'll do it. I know they don't really like it if you qualify and not do it, but I'm sure if I qualify, I'll do it. But we'll see. That's the kind of long-term goal. But yeah, Arnold Classic's the main one I'd love to do. I'd love to do a home soil show.
Yeah, that'd be epic to see you on the Arnold stage, man.
Yeah, I've always travelled for my pro shows, and the travelling process and all that kind of takes away from the actual competing. Yeah, for me. So it'd be nice to just have it on your doorstep.
Yeah. And if it's going to be like the final run at it,
that would be amazing.
Be awesome to do.
A lot of people can have the opportunity to come and see me on stage.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends that I've probably disappeared from because of bodybuilding,
that
I grew up with, maybe they can come and see the whole reason why I did it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So yeah, that's the goal. We're 14 weeks out and feel pretty good. Body's responding the way it's always responded.
You're actually dieting down now?
Yeah, so I started with prep with Chris at 19 weeks out.
Yeah.
So we started at about 257 pounds, kind of like cruising along. So we tidied up the diet, and I've come down to about 244 was my lowest the other week, but he's kind of started to step things up with some high carb days. I've actually gone back up to 248, and I'm at a bigger, leaner 248 than I was at 257. So my body composition has totally switched.
Yeah. So just as a comparison, what weight were you last time you were on stage then?
So for the Cali 2018, I was between 233 and 235.
Okay.
So I have a feeling right now, as it stands, I won't be that heavy. I'll probably be. I said to Chris last week, I said, do you think we've got enough size to do well?
Yeah.
Because when you're off stage for that long, you're not competitively pushing your off seasons. So you're going to lose size. I'm going to lose size. I'm not a mass monster. So when I take my foot off the pedal, I will lose tissue, at least the crazy fullness that I have. So I know my size isn't there. I'm 6 years older. My body's different. I've got aches and pains. No major injuries, but aches and pains. So I know some things have slowed down. Chris just emailed back saying, condition kills.
Yeah.
By that, I know he means that we're going to do what we always did best, was bring that kind of old school, dry, sliced condition. With my structure under the lights, no one will be able to tell my weight. So I don't know, I might be maybe 225 to 230 on stage, but then again, at 14 weeks out, we're not pushing anything really. So I know that a lot can change from the next 14 weeks. And the way Chris does preps, the way he uses his eye and his instinct with the high carb days, and I know there'll be some things that will still be stuff that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
So either way, I'm going to bring something really crazy to stage.
Don't doubt it. Yeah, it's going to be nuts. I think, with Chris's coaching, I hear like a few people that have been coached by him and stuff, and the way he coaches, is it very like, again, instinctive, like in terms of the way he will change things?
Yeah, he'll do things that even I still can't guess. So like the other day, he gave me a high day last week, for example. My weight went up a couple of pounds. Then he said, okay, send me some pictures tomorrow. And I thought, we'll do a couple of lower days. As soon as I sent pictures, he was like, I could tell he was getting giddy. He's like, this is it, this is prep.
Really?
2 high days. And I was like, okay. So he just went completely against what I thought he might want to do.
Yeah.
So he sees something that I probably didn't see. So he's kind of like pulling and pushing me to gain some of the density that I was missing a few weeks ago without increasing any drugs or anything. So literally just with food, he's changing my body composition that I would usually see when someone goes onto a blast.
Is it a head fuck?
It is, because I just think, well, now that I've been coaching for 5 years,
yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
I might, I'm going to learn. I'm going to see what he made a decision the other day that I just had no idea.
Because you've obviously got your approach for coaching, as you said,
which has rubbed off him for a majority of it.
Yeah.
But he still sees things and does something that I just think,
where the fuck's he getting it from?
It works, and I just completely 100% trust him. Like I don't want to ask questions. It's not that I don't want to learn. It's not that I don't want to bother him. I just don't want to think. So when it comes to my bodybuilding, I send Chris the pictures. I just get on with my guys and my training. I just want to switch off.
Yeah.
That's where I prep best. I don't think about my prep. I know a lot of guys would be thinking, next meal, have I had enough sleep? And bring all the variables back in.
Yeah.
For me, it's the opposite. I'm the most chilled, until it gets obviously to the death end of prep, when your fatigue is overtaking how you're thinking. But I am the most chilled at this point of prep. I just have a job to do, and I do it, and I don't think, I don't doubt, I don't do anything. I have in the past had moments where I thought, Chris is pushing me too hard, he's doing this. Then I get on stage and it's like, wow, that's why he was doing it.
Yeah.
So now it's to the point that it's not even a doubt in my mind.
You got a mad trust in Chris.
I have 100% trust. He could tell me to eat a grain of rice and an ounce of chicken every meal for the next 2 weeks, and I would do it.
Yeah.
Okay. He could tell me to drink a gallon of salt water before the show. I'll do it. I just wouldn't. He's got me 100%.
And if you hear any talking in the background, by the way, we are in a live open gym, so there's boys members training in here.
Got lucky so far.
It's cool. Yes, we've been it's been quiet here, but if you hear that, that's what that is. But I think it adds to the podcast anyway, with the bodybuilding podcast. I was going to say, obviously you and Chris have kept in touch over the past 5 years, and I said something on my story yesterday. I was like, the coaching industry now, if you stop getting coached by someone or you change it, you've got to basically you're not allowed to speak to them, or you've got to fall out with them. It's
funny because you get people just forget they coach someone within a week. If someone doesn't, sometimes when I don't get a check-in, unless I message them and say, I hope everything's okay. Like
you want to hear from them.
Disappeared off the face of the earth as far as I know.
Yeah.
And it's the same. Well, they've gone to another coach, and sometimes you don't even know about it till you see a picture of them.
They're tagged on there,
which is fine. It's the way it works.
Yeah.
But like I said, with me and Chris, it's beyond that. And I think it's the same with a lot of Chris's guys. He's had people that would treat him differently, I'm sure. But
I think it's down to you as a person as well. Just from my personal experience with me and Callum as well. Obviously I'm not being coached directly by Callum, but we still talk. We're still mates. And I think it just comes down to you. If you're a genuine person, you're going to keep contact. Yeah. And if there's no reason to be in contact, and maybe just the odd message now and again, then that'll happen. But if you're a genuine person, I think that will...
No, I've never been the type to just kind of use someone as a stepping stone.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd be a bit more successful if I did, but I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'd rather have my morals in check.
I'd rather just be like a really close friend with people that I work with. And
definitely.
I'd make a really bad boss.
Yeah, a bad boss.
Yeah.
We've had a few questions come through on Insta. Yeah. So I think this will be a good time to roll through these. Just give me a sec while I get them up. Let's have a look. Did you get anything through on your Instagram?
No DMs, I don't think. I think they were all on the post.
All on the post, weren't they? Yeah. Okay, so to go to the post, we have got... I'm just going to read these, so I haven't read them previously. Yeah. Okay, how challenging was it training with Jordan, trained by JP?
I saw that question.
Yeah.
Very challenging. So JP, Jordan, the differences between mine and his training was the pace. There was more rest times with him, which my body wasn't quite used to, so I'd cool down quite fast.
Yeah.
But then those work sets that he would aim for, was the intensity that would build up to those sets was pretty crazy. So there would be a lot of lows for me and a lot of highs, whereas my training is kind of, you get up to a point where you're pumped and you're pumping, your heart's pumping, and then it's kind of just like bang, bang,
hold
bang.
it there.
Yeah. Where Jordan he's building up to a certain sets, so it's more like a weightlifting.
Yeah, you're kind of going on up and down.
Which I also enjoyed, and then as I got into it, I realized that this guy is, he goes to a different kind of place.
Yeah, it's different.
To get that set, 2 sets, whatever it is he's doing. It's almost like an intensity that you have to train for a while to be able to nail all the work sets properly. And it was taxing. It would break me. Like every rest day was like, I'm so glad it's a rest day. You know, like,
Yeah.
whereas with my training, it's almost like it's a rest day, but I feel like I want to go in sometimes.
Do you go in?
Yeah,
Sometimes?
my rest days are still instinctive.
Instinctive, right.
I try and take a Sunday off, kind of just gives me one day to regroup. Whereas in the week, if I want to do 6 days in a row, I will.
Yeah.
So if I wake up on a Tuesday, I'm just like, I think my body needs a rest, I'll take a rest.
Okay.
Even my split, sometimes I'll change what I'm training that day according to what my body's.
How you feeling and stuff, yeah.
But yeah, with Jordan, it was almost to the point where it was nerve-wracking sometimes, going into a leg day with him, knowing that we've got expectations of this work set, these 2 work sets on a leg press, or you know what I mean. It was what I could describe it as, nerve-wracking.
Nerve-wracking.
Pretty.
That sums it up.
Yeah, you have to dig deep for those work sets. So
going back to what we were talking about, failure and stuff as well, training failure. I think before I started filming for like JP and the member site and all the athletes, I think failure is something you kind of need to witness as well.
100%.
Obviously, you need to experience it. And I think sometimes watching like a member site video, for instance, I'm not sure, because I know many people that claim they train to failure, but then I see them training and they are members and they're watching these guys do it. They're not really going there. So I think getting it from a video sometimes is quite difficult. But obviously I've been there in person, experiencing it in the atmosphere, and it's...
I think people who think, most people will get to failure in their minds, but they're actually only starting to scratch.
Yes.
One thing Matt Jansen, another great coach, said, I think you got asked a question, it just sticks out in my head. You got asked the question, he said, if you were to try and make one of your clients feel what failure is, what would you do? And I think his answer was good. He said, get on a bike, an exercise bike, start spinning at a certain speed, nothing too fast, at low resistance, then start building resistance up. So your legs are going to start building up with lactic acid or fatigue. You get to a certain resistance where it's like trying to go through sand, and then you get to a point where you physically, the burn and the fatigue can't let you pedal one more pedal. That pain is horrible. If you've ever burnt out on a bike, it's just so much localized pain. That's failure. Most people have never felt that, because they don't know how to get to that point. They always stop. But if you've got something that's building up and building up, get to a point where the pain is just stopping you. That's failure to me. And I don't see most people in a gym
go into that point.
There's very select people who go to that every work set. So that's why a lot of people like Jordan can only do 1 set or 2 sets.
Of course,
because the demand is ridiculous. That's the same with Dorian. Those guys.
It's so taxing, isn't it? Yeah, that's sick. Right, are you coming to the Arnold Classic UK? So we've touched on that. I'll be there,
even if I'm not competing. I'll probably be there.
Let's have a look. Robbie from Fullbore just gives you a shout out, saying you're a true gent and the most incredible physique. And he'll be tuning in. I know he's a keen viewer of the show.
Perfect.
And just nice comments, actually, talking about obviously the fact that the physique is like one of the best. If I go to my archive, because I put up on the story as well.
Okay.
This is how the podcast runs. It's super casual, mate. So I put up on the story, and I did get a few through. Okay. We've kind of touched on it, but I guess if we do like a brief answer, what is your favorite training style, high or low volume? What is your current training split, and does it change often? We've kind of answered it, I guess.
Yeah, favorite style, I don't want to name a style, because it's a mishmash of, like, even with my own guys, if they're stuck to what to do and they're asking me, they're clearly not getting the point of just volume or just heavy, intense. I'll say, look, start your session. This is how I usually do. If I was to try and do a typical chest session, for example, I'd get in and I'd warm up my shoulders, and then I'd get on something that I'm good at, like a flat bench press. For me, that was always my highlight of my chest training when it came to just pushing some good weight. I'd start on a flat bench or a flat Smith bench, and then I'd do like a lower volume, heavier, where I'd go to like 6 to 10 reps, where I'd go quite heavy. Sometimes I might go higher reps, depending on my shoulder. But if I want to build up to a really heavy set, I'll do that, and then I'll leave that alone, and then I'll start to pick up the pace a little bit. So those rest times might be 2-3 minutes. And then for the rest of the session, I might go to some inclines. Then, the rest times start to get shorter. My rep range might get higher.
Mm-hmm.
The pace starts to pick up, so it becomes more of a pumpy style.
Yeah.
So you're going from a low volume type training, you're ending with quite a high volume pump, supersets, maybe even trisets, giant sets towards the end.
Yeah.
Just to really fatigue and burn out. So I would say it's a hybrid. My split right now, a typical week, it can change. Monday's back and abs. Tuesday's chest and calves. Wednesday, this is a new development. I usually do one leg day, but I've started to do hamstrings and calves on a Wednesday. Then Thursday's delts. Then Friday's arms.
Yeah.
Or abs or calves. I always alternate them. And then Saturday, right now, is quads. But I might go back to one leg day. So generally, I train 5 to 6 days, single body part. And I'll alternate calves and.
You'll have to come up with like a fancy name for your training style,
a
fancy training system.
I could come up with fancy names of each section of my training. I do like wacky things just to get around injuries sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll look like I'm doing sloppy form or something that I shouldn't be doing on a certain machine just to get around it.
Yeah. Just whack a fancy name on it, release an ebook, and then you'll have a new trend.
If I could describe it, if I could get it to words.
Yeah. And then, the last question we've got, does Sas still believe in bulking up very heavy in your off season? And what are your favourite carb sources in this phase?
So, favourite carb sources in the off season, I guess.
Yeah.
In the off season, to be fair, if I'm not having a cheat meal, I tend to just have the usual. Nowadays, anyway, I tend to have oats. I love oats.
The usual suspects.
Yeah, I really like oats, and if it gets to the point where I think oats for me offer a lot more than just the carbs. They have the fiber, they have the micronutrients, the phytonutrients, and I believe in giving your body the right fuel. I don't want to just have a bowl of cereal if I can have something a bit more nutritionally valued.
Yeah, got you.
Because I think there's a point where your body will say, okay, this food is good for me, so I'm going to give you some better performance in the gym. Not a bag of Haribos just because it's a carb source and it's going to spike your insulin. Yeah, it will. But what about the other effects
everything
it could
else.
be having? I'm not saying that there's a point where in your off season you've maxed out your clean food, you start to bring in some sugars and all that kind of stuff. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm all for junk food. I've used it in my best off seasons. I've always been 70% clean, 30% junk. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get the calories in.
Yeah.
But there's a point where you need to cover your nutritional needs. I've realized a bit later on in my career that when I'm giving my body valuable food, it gives me valuable progress back.
Yeah.
So when I'm covering the bases, some veg, some good protein, I like to mix beef, chicken, whey, and eggs, the whole egg.
Yeah.
Then you got your carbs that have some nutritional value, like your oats, a bit of quinoa maybe, nothing too crazy. But carbs, as far as carbs go, I'm quite lenient. Your body doesn't need carbs; it's an energy source. So as long as you can keep it low sugar to a certain point, and after that, then I like honey. I think that's a good carb source.
Yeah.
Then I go on to like your white breads. I like thick white loaf. I like pasta and noodles.
Bagels.
I love bagels.
Yeah.
Stuff like them will start to carry you through your off season because they're not bulky foods, they're enjoyable, they're easy to digest. So off season I do like to switch and add more stuff like that in. Jam, my mum makes homemade jam. Cereal comes in, like at the end of the night I sometimes think if I've got one more meal and I've got 100 carbs to hit, sometimes I'm just like, I can't.
Just get a cereal
down.
down.
Just get a bowl of granola. Easy. Or even granola. It's sweet, it's nice, but it's still got some good stuff in it.
Yeah.
It's not just pure refined
pure sugar. Yeah.
With some almond milk and a shake or something, and there's a meal.
Yeah.
But yeah, my biggest, with regards to bulking up, my best off seasons, or I should say my best look on stage, have usually followed off season where I have pushed my body weight.
Okay.
Without high drugs. Like it's been food. My best off season so far with Chris, I remember it got to the point where I was doing my own food, but I was sending Chris pictures just to make sure I was on the right path for that off season. If he would have said, you're not gaining enough, or you're getting too fat, or you're not fat enough. He would
you're not
say,
fat enough.
Yeah, he has said that. So I think one off season, I remember the biggest push we did was like maybe 3 or 4 months where I got to 276. And so for me, that was big. And my food was outrageous. Like my breakfast was like 6 pieces of bacon, 6 eggs, all fried in butter. Then you got 6 slices of toast, all buttered.
Wow.
Then in between those, I'd have like some steak and pasta, some chicken and potato type thing. Then before bed every night, 2 double cheeseburgers and 2 large fries from the takeaway down the street every night. And we did this for about 12 weeks straight.
Every night?
I was just eating. Like it was about between 7.5 to 8,000 calories. I wasn't lean by any means. I was growing and I was getting strong.
Yeah.
And that led to my favorite look in terms of fullness was New York Pro 2017.
Yeah.
There was something to be said about it was hard getting the weight back down. I think I lost 50 pounds that prep. But there was something to be said for getting heavy, getting those dense foods, the dense weight, getting some body fat on. But the transition into getting sharp, the look at the end of it was just, the density and the sharpness was 2 things that is very hard to nail these days. It's always kind of like the bloat density or the stringy sharpness.
Yeah.
There's never a mix of both worlds, not rarely, till you get to the top elite guys. So I will always agree with bulking because for me personally, my body is happiest when it's at like 7,000 calories. In the gym, I mean. I feel strong, I feel safe, my joints feel safe. I'm able to train heavy and hard without the worry of pulling stuff. When I start to try and tidy up, even if I'm in a surplus at 6,000 and I'm being a bit cleaner, just to keep some abs or whatever you want to do. In the gym, I don't feel the progression in my volume and the intensity, which is something I want to do every session. So I have to almost overeat. But those off seasons always equate to more muscle for me.
Yeah.
When I started to eat clean up, I just progress would stall. And I wasn't the one that would just take more and more and more drugs to compensate. Which I don't think compensates. It just fills you up with that 20 pounds of water that people think gives them that false sense of size. A lot of people, as soon as they pull the insulin out, they're dropping 20 pounds. But yeah, it's I will always go back to that kind of old school. Bulk up in the off season, change your foods around. But I like the body to see a change. I don't want to go from eating chicken and rice in the off season to chicken and rice in prep. I don't want to go from doing half an hour cardio every day in off season to doing cardio every day in prep.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
It's just your body's kind of going to
see that change.
This is more of
that contrast.
Yeah. I like the switch. But then it won't look as glamorous on Instagram.
No, of course not. Right, so that's off season then in terms of like your day-to-day diet. In terms of cheat meals, what would you say your favourite cheat meal is and how often would you do it?
So off season, my favourite cheat meal would be pizza. I love pizza night with Leanne.
Yeah.
If we go out, I love pizza. Pizza's just the king. In prep, or if I'm a bit more structured, I like burger and fries, so it has a bit more value.
Yeah, okay.
Protein, and it's not just a mass of calories, which I would value that in the off season. But cheat meals is one thing that I do use as a part of just my bodybuilding journey. Off season, there's very rarely weeks where I don't have. There's rare weeks where I have less than like 4 cheat meals in the week. There's a lot of the time when I'm really pushing, it's every night. Every night nuts. I have whether it's home cooked burger and fries or pizza or big cheesy pasta or something, or it's a takeaway or we go out to eat.
Yeah.
That's when I'm in the flow of just putting on the size and the strength and just feeling good and enjoying the off season. For me, I'd rather have that last meal of the day where it's 2,000 plus calories of enjoyment. We can watch a movie with it rather than trying to cram all the clean fat calories through the day where my gut's out here, but it's only been chicken and rice. I don't think it's very beneficial. So I like to scale back the clean food to a maximum, maybe 5,000-6,000 calories. Then
just add shit on top.
Yeah, that for me. Obviously, if I was someone who was getting fat and just sloppy and wasn't growing, a lot of guys I work with now, I find, I don't know what's different, genetics maybe, or less mileage in the gym, less experience. But people tend to soften up and lose progress. I don't mind people softening up if they're growing and they're getting better in the gym.
Yeah.
we can take the fat off. But a lot of people tend to soften up and they stop growing at the same time, and they're not able to eat anymore. So that's when kind of I scale things back. So what I do with my guys isn't always what I do with myself. But if I'm in a good place, yeah, cheats every day. If I crave something, I eat it in the day. Doesn't mean if it's midway between meal 2 and 3, I'm going for a Mackie, I'm going past McDonald's and I want a McFlurry, I'll just go and grab it because it's just fuel.
And you just carry on with your normal meals after that?
Yeah, I'll try and have my structured meals or at least hit the protein intake.
Yeah.
I figured out for myself, those off seasons where I was very structured and clean, not only was I not growing as much as I thought I should, but I was miserable all the time. It would take me an hour to eat a big plate of chicken and rice or steak and pasta, and then I would have to do it again in an hour. It was like there was no break and I was just miserable. And that affects my training and progress. So
it's a crossover.
You've got to find that kind of common ground where you're happy and you're having fun, but you're progressing at the same time. Yeah, don't be too serious.
Speaking of when you mentioned your clients there, got to give a little shout out to Luca.
Of course, yeah.
Luca Pola, my rival, my nemesis.
Yeah.
Beat me 2 years in a row.
Yeah. In Wales it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, he came down to Wales this year. It was close from what I heard, but the fact that I was even close to him this year, because he fucking smoked me last year when I went up and jumped into the heavyweights last year, and then obviously the week later he went out this year and got his pro card. So that's sick, man. How many?
Fantastic.
With your coaching, like what? Like, are you pushing like heavy with your coaching, or you see a lot of people like they want to be the next big thing in coaching. From knowing you as I know you, I think you don't want to be like the main guy, but you're just happy getting all these good results that you've had this year.
With me, it's not. I'm not chasing genetics. I'm not chasing pro cards. I'm not chasing wins. Obviously, I want my guys to win.
Of course, yeah.
That's the goal. But I don't look at my lifestyle guys any different to I look at someone who's going to be on the Olympia. Yeah, that guy will need a different kind of attention to someone who's just doing it for his lifestyle. But my care and effort towards them isn't any different.
Doesn't change.
I thrive just as much on helping someone just lose weight to helping someone get a pro card or get an Olympic qualification. It gives me the same sense of reward and achievement. If anything, sometimes when you got the more basic type of training, someone who's literally wanting you to write a split for them, because they don't know a split. Yeah. That to me is, it's just as challenging and refreshing as someone who knows exactly what he's doing and he just needs some commands. Yeah. I don't look at it any different. I don't market myself. I mean, naturally, I'm going to have guys who want to go to the level I've been, unassisted competitors. That's the bulk of it. But I don't try and, purposely just push those guys. Yeah, yeah. But that's typically where I land. But yeah, I try and my promise to my guys is I'll give you my effort, 100% effort. If you give me 100%, I'll give you 200%. Yeah, yeah. I don't charge anyone more near a show, but I might check people in every day, or I might come multiple times a day. Well, my workload sometimes triples, quadruples in their shows, and I don't think, I'm not charging enough. That's not my drive. Yeah. I want them to be at their best. And because of Chris, I guess, and also how I've been all my life, I like to look at the health side as well. I don't want to just pump them full of
everything,
every which way. It's even if I've got guys say to me, "Look, Sass, just do what you want."
Throw the kitchen sink at me.
I'm not going to just change my way of training, coaching you just because you want me to. You either like it or you don't. So I tend to get guys, maybe even similar to me, who stick around. Similar mindset, chilled, balanced, like to have fun, but they're not overly intense. But they know when to work in, when to suffer,
when to switch it on, and when to relax.
They tend to be the guys who hang around with me a bit more, and they see great results. So.
Yeah, well, from seeing it from the outside, looking in on Instagram, etc. You've had some good results this year, and then obviously getting smoked by one of your clients in Wales.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Good results.
He's driven. He's genetically gifted. He's a nice guy.
He is.
I just hope he doesn't change. But yeah, I don't push. Like I said, I don't market myself enough. And another way of me doing this comeback at a reason is to try and maybe say, look, I'm here as a coach as well. Yeah. So, with thanks to to you giving me a voice. I'm hoping to get back on that kind of scene and just say, look, I do coach, and this is how I coach. And these are my guys.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's nice to be able to shout a bit. With me, like I said, it's physically that I excel. So if I have a platform, then everything else that goes along with me comes and people can see it more. Clearly, because I'm on a stage or doing a prep. Doing a YouTube series.
Everyone will be aware of it. Yeah. So you mentioned there that the YouTube series and things, you're looking at documenting the prep.
It's not 100% decided, but like I said, I spoke to you, and I think it is something I would like to go down if there's a demand for it. It won't be anything exciting, but it will be my journey to the stage. You know.
I think it'll be good for you to, if again going back to this being like me potentially the last run at it. I think for you, just for your memory books.
I think so. Yeah. That's the other thing. If I didn't do that, it would be like, you know, because I sit there and I watch my buddy James Hollingshead, and I watch Nathan Diasha, even though we're rivals. No, we're good now.
You boys
speak quite a lot. I watch these guys, and you know, it makes me think I want something to maybe look back on, or I want something maybe for my son to.
You deserve it, man, for yourself and for your little one.
Just another box to tick. So yeah, and who else better than to?
Oh, man, stop it! I appreciate it, mate. I'd love to get involved. I'd love to get involved, just obviously on the work front to document it for you, but just as a fan of bodybuilding and witness it firsthand as well. It'd be amazing to see.
That'd be very
so
cool.
that'd be a big box ticked for me, like.
Thank you.
But I think that's pretty much it in terms of the pod, because
rambled enough.
You've got to train, and I'm fucking freezing.
Yeah, it's getting colder by the minute.
I'm not sure if the steam coming from my mouth has been coming out.
It's just the fact that we're not moving.
Yeah, I'm slowly pulling my sleeves up my hands throughout it. But no, I appreciate AW Muscle and Fitness for letting us film. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout and thank to?
Just obviously Chris Zito, my first and foremost my family.
Yes.
Leanne, Noah, and our unborn.
Yeah.
And our dog Coco. They are the rock and the backbone of everything I do.
Of course, man. And
everything I do now is for them. Chris Zito, my coach, Jordan Corrin for having my back, even when I was almost forgotten. You know, it was Jordan Corrin that reached out and said, you know, we still want.
Yeah.
And that meant a lot to me. So
you were with JP before my days with JP, wasn't it?
So 17 and 18.
Yeah.
And, you know, and they've always treated me with respect, loyalty, kindness, support. They've never mistreated me or made any false promises. So I've always said, you know, for them, I would. Right now, like I said, I don't need the sponsorship money, which is nice to have.
Of course.
But for me now, it's about the relationships, like, you know, with the Chris, and yourself, and Jordan Corrin. I truly care about. So if I could bring something to their brand, and obviously they're letting me be a part of it, which is amazing. So all the love and all the thanks to them for having my back. Hopefully having my back into the next season. Definitely. Again, it comes back down to just good people being around good people, man. That's what makes me thrive. Yeah. You know, you sometimes have to get away from that to realise that's, you know, this group of people might make me richer, give me more trophies, but are they going to make me happier? Yeah, yeah. You know, do they match my That's what matters first. So them, obviously AW, Muscle and Fitness, Alex and Emily, who are constantly kitting out the gym with the best equipment. Yeah, looking after me, giving me whatever I need. It's stacked in you now. I know, almost overly stacked. So you know, I can't thank them enough. Looks awesome on my doorstep as well. So macro-based diners, Mike Hine, who have been giving me some meals the past few weeks. Big shout out to them. If you want macro prep meals to the door type thing. Yep. But you know, the odd training partner I have. Scott, Alex, just, you know, everyone really. Wicked, man. Everyone, whoever I've missed, who's made my parents, who have given me the talent. The talent. Made it all possible earlier on, who never said no to me, whatever I asked them. Yeah. They allowed me to get on my feet and do what I wanted to do. So I guess first thanks should go for them. And not forgetting your cars. Oh yeah. Those cars that keep me from being rich. Sane, man. Keep me sane. Yeah. But wicked. Well, thanks to you for giving me this opportunity. Mate, it's my pleasure. I've, you know, the thing when I first started getting the ideas together for the Beautiful Struggle podcast was to get obviously people on with a story that have been through some stuff, and
and people that are still going through things to, reach the top of the mountain, so to speak. So obviously we spoke off camera, you know what I've kind of been through recently. I'm going through a fucking struggle myself at the moment, and those stories I know in future will make for, to help someone else, or even just to give the insight.
You nailed it. And I think for me, I speak to clients all the time who start to go through stuff, like yourself, like me. It's funny because we're sat here talking on a bodybuilding podcast about bodybuilding, which to me is giving me the life I have.
Yeah.
It was the one thing that all my relatives and parents, they've said, oh, don't take it too seriously. It's not going to give you a career. It might be unhealthy. It was the one thing that most people, my friends were telling me, don't get too big, don't do this, don't do that. It was the one thing that people would try to swerve me from. Happened to be the one thing that has given me my income, brought me relationships like yourself, like Alex and Emily, Chris. I met Leanne through bodybuilding. I've got my house through bodybuilding. I have been saved by bodybuilding myself. I've been in some dark holes over the last 20 years where you just lose identity and you start grabbing the wrong reasons to wake up. So it's usually been bodybuilding that's kind of pulled me back.
Kept you on a straight and narrow, yeah.
So it's funny that we're here talking about it and the struggles, because it's what's made all the struggles kind of worthwhile. It's also what's pulled me out of the struggle.
Yeah.
So for me, bodybuilding has a very special place in my heart, just in many different ways. There's been times it may have hurt me or upset me or whatever, but as a whole, it's pretty much rounded off my life.
Yeah.
And it's fueling me now. So 24 years on, for me to be still fueled by that passion that I had when I was 13, it's crazy.
It's 2024, 24 years on.
Yeah.
There's something in there, bro.
You're right.
There's something in there.
One last dance.
One last dance, yeah.
So we'll see.
I'm excited for you, man.
As well.
But thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Giving me your time.
Thank you for everyone listening and watching.
Yeah.
And if there's anything else you want.
And on Insta, it's just Sass_.
Yeah, Sass_Heirati.
That's right. Yeah. So
always willing to talk. Always try and answer people back.
There we go. And if you've got any questions on strength curves and D-handles and angles and stuff,
maybe don't message.
Maybe not that DM. No, but I appreciate you, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, as per usual. This is episode 22, I think, now. So I'm one off getting 23 episodes for 2023. So I'm trying my best.
Right at the end, yeah.
I'm just driving around this country up and down.
Christmas edition if you don't get there.
Yeah, but thank you very much. Like, comment, subscribe. Comment, let me know who you'd like me to get on. Obviously, we've ticked a massive box with getting Sass on today, and we'll see who we can line up for the next one, and obviously every episode in 2024 as well. So I'll see you on the next one. Peace.